When you think of the beauty industry, this is probably not what comes to mind. But what emerges from the dusty haze after a thorough clean and crush is a much more marketable product. From farm to face, this is the Jojoba Company. A business that started after a surprise announcement at a family get-together in 2008.
Did you know your dad was growing jojoba?
No, I had no idea. He said, has anyone heard of jojoba? And my sister and brother are like, no. And I said, I have. I use it. I love it. I used it through my pregnancy. My naturopath introduced me to it. Why? And he says, well, I'm growing it on my farm and I've just had my first crop. And I went, and he goes, I don't know what to do with it. I said, you need to bottle it up. It's very hard to buy. There's hardly an Australian jojoba around. And he's like, oh, OK, well, you do that.
So Vicky Engsel put her teaching career on hold and went into business with her dad, who prefers to leave the talking to his daughter. A venture Vicky may have thought twice about if she'd been fully aware of the crop's history.
The latest disaster can be found in the wonder crop, jojoba. Aggressively promoted and hyped, jojoba, which is grown for its oil, failed in both the US and Australia in the 80s.
Jojoba oil was initially promoted as a replacement for sperm whale oil, which was used for lubricants and cosmetics until whaling was banned. The problem was, in the 80s, jojoba plants weren't ready to be commercialised, and farmers didn't know how to manage them. Plant breeders warned it was too early, but a lot of the wild seed went into the ground.
People are often blinded by a desire to make money quickly, and you're either ignored or regarded as a ratbag. And I guess those people have a different point of view now.
When Landline reported on jojoba in 1997, Peter Milthorpe from the New South Wales Department of Agriculture and the CSIRO's Bob Dunstan were trying to convince farmers to give jojoba another go. After trialling thousands of lines, they developed a handful of new varieties with Indigenous names that suited Australian conditions. Vicky's dad Ian was among around 20 farmers who found a spot for the new crop.
My dad, being my dad, very entrepreneurial and a big risk taker, and of course his philosophy in the whole of life is if nobody else is doing it, then I'll do it.
More than 2 decades on, and the family farm at Yenda in the New South Wales Riverina is the largest jojoba plantation in the country. What started as a 30-hectare block is now nearing 100 hectares of jojoba shrubs, mostly the waddy waddy variety. In fact, these days the farm only produces jojoba. And this year's harvest is the biggest. But getting things to this point has required a lot of patience.
It's kind of that 7-8 years is where you start to see that really nice return on them. But we'll start harvesting in years 4 and 5. There is value. It's a high-value product, so there's a value chasing that little bit of seed that is out there.
Before that waiting game can begin, first the shrubs need to make it out of the nursery. And the company's Canadian-born farm manager Tavis Kleinsasser says that's one of the biggest hurdles.
How old are these plants?
These ones are propagated in November, so they'd be just around 6 months old now.
But how tricky is it to get them to this stage?
We're roughly getting a 30% success rate on them, so not ideal, not great.
Why is it so difficult?
Well, firstly, it's just a very hard plant to propagate, so that's the big one. But then it's also just getting consistency within the greenhouse environment. They don't want to be too wet, they don't want to be too dry, they want that kind of happy medium.
When they do graduate from the nursery, the waddy waddy survival instincts kick in. It's drought tolerant and generally a pretty hardy plant. It does have an Achilles heel though, frost, which the company has minimised by installing some very large fans.
In some of our worst frost years, we were losing around 80%, so it can be quite significant. But there's other years where you think we didn't really get that much frost, but you'll still be losing 10 or 15%.
While the male daddy plants do better than the female waddies at propagation, Tavis has found that males are more likely to die out here, which is an issue when there aren't many of them.
So what's the balance of male to female plants?
Yeah, so what we're walking through here now is mostly females. In fact, it's 97% females.
So this is what you want?
That's the ones you want. They're the ones who make a seed. They get the job done.
So what about these little fellas?
Yeah, here we go. Here's a few males. So they have an important job to do. Obviously, without them, we wouldn't get any seed. So you still need to get adequate pollination, obviously, so you need to plant enough of them, but
3% does it.
3% does the job, yeah.
And this seed is worth fighting for. About 50% of it is an oil-like liquid wax, which is in high demand for its cosmeceutical, pharmaceutical and industrial uses.
Well, at the current market, it's worth, anywhere between that $10,000 to $13,000 a ton for the seed. If jojoba farming is done correctly, it has the potential to pretty much beat out any other crop. Like, there's very few larger scale crops that would be able to compete with jojoba.
While some of the farm's liquid gold was initially sold in bulk to sunscreen manufacturers and ingredients suppliers, these days it all stays in-house and goes into a growing range of skincare products, which Vicky develops with formulation experts in Sydney.
Jojoba's a no-brainer. It's a wax ester, it matches our own natural skin, and it carries everything into the skin. Why wouldn't we base a skincare range on jojoba?
With a range of vitamins and antioxidants, and a reputation for soothing common skin disorders, the Jojoba Company has found a niche in a very crowded marketplace. But in the early days, when most people didn't know what it was, face oils weren't a thing, and so-called natural skincare hadn't hit its stride, the company struggled to get off the ground.
It was really hard. We were really stomping the footpath and trying to create demand for jojoba. And I think over time it's been incremental. We grow double digits every single year.
So this is where we do all our bottling, so all the jojobas come
And today she's meeting someone who's had a fair bit to do with the company's success, plant breeder Peter Milthorpe.
I tell people all the time, Waddy jojoba was, produced by the CSIRO together with the Department of Agriculture. I didn't know he was the one, so I loved talking to him.
Wow.
Waddy actually wasn't Peter's top pick out of the 3 female varieties he co-created. But its large seed size and consistent performance made it a good selection. And he's pretty chuffed with what the Jojoba Company has done with it.
I think it's very important, just by the breadth of their marketing and the number of outlets they have. It's been the thing we've been looking for.
While the Jojoba Company dominates the local industry, there are a small number of other producers in Australia. But Peter Milthorpe's hopes back in 1997 of having 1,000 hectares in the ground have so far fallen well short.
There's certainly been times of despair when you feel that it just takes so long to get anywhere, and that's just the nature of the beast. I guess we've got to be patient and diligent and hope that we come up trumps in the end.
What's your assessment now?
The same, I think. Yeah, it is a slow process.
With such a small Australian industry, funding for research the likes of which Peter Milthorpe carried out has dried up, leaving it up to producers to do it themselves.
It's a variety that they develop.
The Jojoba Company's farm manager has looked at a couple of hundred self-seeded plants that have popped up in between the waddy in his quest to find a better variety.
So how many have you actually planted out in the field?
Yeah, so out of those 200, there's about 4 now that we've moved on to this commercial trial phase. This one here on our left, that's one of them.
Oh, why this one?
Yeah, so if we just grab a branch, it has a bud at every node.
Oh, okay.
So you can see just all those opportunities to make a seed, whereas this branch we grabbed earlier off the Wadi Wadi, you can see we have a bud here, but then we skip a node, bud, skip a node, bud, skip a node, bud.
So does that mean potentially twice the yield?
Potentially. There's other variables obviously in there. Is the seed size the same? Will the mature bush be the same size?
There are a lot of questions still to answer when it comes to jojoba. But for Tavis, the frustration of farming this at times tricky crop also comes with the thrill of discovery.
We look at like the comparison of a wolf to a poodle, and you look at wheat. Wheat is like the poodle. You know, it's been bred for hundreds, thousands of years. And then you look at jojoba. Jojoba is a wolf. It's only 1 or 2 generations removed from its wild relative. I think with that input of time and effort, there's potential to find some really amazing varieties out there and develop a really amazing plant.
In the meantime, the Jojoba Company will continue to plant the varieties that have got it this far, with plans to expand its range of products and reach.
We have a vision for growing it even further, so we want to go international. I want everybody to know about jojoba, and I want it to be mainstream.